Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatchadeshatarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatchadeshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Krishna Hare The juice is pumping in the meeting room.
I like acoustics in here.
Me too. Are they done in the darshan room? Excuse me one moment. Are they in their stuff? No. Should we move or stay?
Move.
Alright. We're just going to make a quick transmigration to the Srila Prabhupada's darshan room really fast. So please just bear with us. It's just going to take 15 seconds. Oops, sorry. Okay, back in the jai. I almost want to do another kirtan now. Kirtan in here is fun and nice. Alright. Okay. Alright. Hare Krishna. So, sorry about that. So, I think I greeted everyone, but I didn't do it since I started recording, so I'm just going to greet everyone real quick again. We have Baba Sarovarham here, and we have Nikunja Nagari, Devi Dasi online, and Bhakta Josh. We have Bhakta Adam in the next room, avoiding joining. Hare Krishna. Maybe he's busy. I don't know. But anyway, so we're diving into Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text 40. 117:40. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Sarhit Satam Nashta Prayashvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Alright, 117:40. Amuni Panchastanani Hyadharma Prabhavakali Autarena Datani Nyavasattanideshakrit. Thus the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Purport. Thus the age of Kali began with gold standardization, and therefore falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution are rampant all over the world. And the saner section is eager to drive out corruption. The counteracting process is suggested above, and everyone can take advantage of this suggestion. Haitanina sevata babushu purusha kuchit visheshato dharmashilo raja lokapatir. Therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, religionists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis should never come in contact with the four above-mentioned irreligious principles. Purport. The brahmanas are the religious preceptors for all other castes, and the sannyasis are the spiritual masters for all the castes and orders of society. So also are the king and the public leaders who are responsible for the material welfare of all people. The progressive religionists and those who are responsible human beings, or those who do not want to spoil their valuable human lives, should refrain from all the principles of irreligiosity, especially illicit connection with women. If a brahmana is not truthful, all his claims as a brahmana at once become null and void. If a sannyasi is illicitly connected with women, all his claims as a sannyasi at once become false. Similarly, if the king and the public leader are unnecessarily proud or habituated to drinking and smoking, certainly they become disqualified to discharge public welfare activities. Truthfulness is the basic principle for all religions. The four leaders of the human society, namely the sannyasis, the brahmana, the king, and the public leader, must be tested crucially by their character and qualification. Before one can be accepted as a spiritual or material master of society, he must be tested by the above-mentioned criteria of character. Such public leaders may be less qualified in academic qualifications, but it is necessary primarily that they be free from the contamination of the four disqualifications, namely gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Vrashasya nashtang stanin padan tapasocham dvayamiti pratishandagda ashvasya mahimcha samavardhayat. Thereafter the king re-established the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth. Purport. By designating particular places for the personality of Kali, Maharaj Parikshit practically cheated Kali. In the presence of Kali, Dharma in the shape of a bull, and the earth in the shape of a cow, he could actually estimate the general condition of his kingdom, and therefore he at once took proper steps to re-establish the legs of the bull, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. And for the general benefit of the people of the world, he saw that the gold stock might be employed for stabilization. Gold is certainly a generator of falsity, intoxication, prostitution, enmity, and violence. But under the guidance of a proper king, or public leader, or a Brahmin or sannyasi, the same gold can be properly utilized to re-establish the lost legs of the bull, the personality of religion. Maharaj Parikshit, therefore, like his grandfather Arjuna, collected all illicit gold kept for the propensities of Kali and employed it in the Sankirtan Yajna, as per instruction of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we have suggested before, one's accumulated wealth may be divided into three parts for distribution, namely 50% for the service of the Lord, 25% for the family members, and 25% for personal necessities. Spending 50% for the service of the Lord or for propagation of spiritual knowledge in society by way of the Sankirtan Yajna is the maximum display of human mercy. People of the world are generally in darkness regarding spiritual knowledge, especially in regard to the devotional service of the Lord. And therefore to propagate the systematic transcendental knowledge of devotional service is the greatest mercy that one can show in this world. Wow. When everyone is taught to sacrifice 50% of his accumulated gold for the Lord's service, certainly austerity, cleanliness, and mercy automatically ensue. And thus, the lost three legs of the personality of religion are automatically established. When there is sufficient austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, naturally Mother Earth is completely satisfied, and there is very little chance for Kali to infiltrate the structure of human society. Interesting, mercy. It's kind of being translated as, propagating spiritual knowledge, preaching. So Isha itar hyadhyasta asanam bharti vochitam Pitamaheno panyastam rajñaranyam vivikshata aseduna sarajrishi kauravendra shiyolasan gajavaye mahabhagas chakravarti brihashravaha. The most fortunate emperor, Maharaj Parikshit, who was entrusted with the kingdom of Hastinapur by Maharaj Yudhisthira when he desired to retire to the forest, is now ruling the world with great success due to his being glorified by the deeds of the kings of the Kuru dynasty. Purport. The prolonged sacrificial ceremonies... Oh, sorry, I gotta plug this thing in, otherwise it's gonna die.
Can you read the translation again? I feel like it's a little bit short.
Sure.
The one I got.
Let me make sure this is working. Okay, we're good. The most fortunate emperor, Maharaj Parikshit, who was entrusted with the kingdom of Hastinapur by Maharaj Yudhisthira when he decided to retire to the forest, is now ruling the world with great success due to his being glorified by the deeds of the kings of the Kuru dynasty. Purport. The prolonged sacrificial ceremonies undertaken by the sages of Naimisharanya were begun shortly after the demise of Maharaj Parikshit. The sacrifice was to continue for 1,000 years, and it is understood that in the beginning some of the contemporaries of Baladev, the elder brother of Lord Krishna, also visited the sacrificial place. According to some authorities, the present tense is also used to indicate the nearest margin of time from the past. In that sense, the present tense is applied to the reign of Maharaj Parikshit here. For a continuous fact, also, present tense can be used. The principles of Maharaj Parikshit can be still continued, and human society can still be improved if there is determination by the authorities. We can still purge out from the state all the activities of immorality introduced by the personality of Kali if we are determined to take action like Maharaj Parikshit. He allotted some place for Kali, but in fact Kali could not find such places in the world at all, because Maharaj Parikshit was strictly vigilant to see that there were no places for gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Modern administrators want to banish corruption from the state, but fools as they are, they do not know how to do it. They want to issue licenses for gambling houses, wine and other intoxicating drug houses, brothels, hotel prostitution and cinema houses, and falsity in every dealing, even in their own. And they want at the same time to drive out corruption from the state. They want the kingdom of God without God consciousness. How can it be possible to adjust two contradictory matters? If we want to drive out corruption from the state, we must first of all organize society to accept the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And to make the condition favorable, we must close all places of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and falsity. These are some of the practical lessons from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Itam bhutanubhavoyam abhimanyu suto nrapaha dasya palayata kshonim yuyam chatraya dikshitaha. Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, is so experienced that by dint of his expert administration and patronage, it has been possible for you to perform a sacrifice such as this. Purport. The Brahmanas and the Sannyasis are expert in the spiritual advancement of society, whereas the Kshatriyas, or the administrators, are expert in the material peace and prosperity of human society. Both of them are the pillars of all happiness, and therefore they are meant for full cooperation for common welfare. Maharaj Parikshit was experienced enough to drive away Kali from his field of activities and thereby make the state receptive to spiritual enlightenment. If the common people are not receptive, it is very difficult to impress upon them the necessity of spiritual enlightenment. Austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, the basic principles of religion, prepare the ground for the reception of advancement in spiritual knowledge. And Maharaj Parikshit made this favorable condition possible. Thus the rishis of Naimisharanya were able to perform the sacrifices for 1,000 years. In other words, without state support, no doctrines of philosophy or religious principles can progressively advance. There should be complete cooperation between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas for this common good. Even up to Maharaj Ashoka, the same spirit was prevailing. Lord Buddha was sufficiently supported by King Ashoka, and thus his particular cult of knowledge was spread all over the world. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Punishment and Reward of Kali. Sadhu.
Bravo.
Cricket.
Bravissimo. Bravo. Bravo.
Gee.
Adi.
Alright, cricket. Well, any contributions at this point?
Yeah, one thing. But yeah, I like how he says, if we want to drive out all corruption from the state, which is a very big topic nowadays, we must first of all organize society to accept the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And I was thinking, wow, I feel like most religious people would be like, yeah. And then the second half, and we must close all places of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and falsity. And it's just like, maybe not, you know? Maybe people aren't ready for all that, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward what needs to happen.
But, if people were educated and could understand,
Right.
A lot of people could get ready quick.
I mean, really, the only one that I feel like would be the hardest for people out of those four, obviously, you have to understand the whole canon of knowledge. Prabhupada's not just talking about those four things, but especially those things, is the drinking, Nobody really wants prostitution and gambling, and nobody wants to be lied to. But the intoxication on this one, that's like the thing that sticks out as like, and yeah, anyway, and meat eating, of course, that's another huge one that's not explicit here, but of course he goes over it extensively.
Almost just about every single one of them was fundamental pillars of today's society.
Yeah.
And I think prostitution, he means basically illicit sex.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone in college should be married. That's a good one, right? It's a practical way to resolve that. Yeah, such a good section, man. So interesting. I think this section and the fourth canto with Pruti Maharaj are the most interesting for how society can be reshaped practically,
Yeah.
So curious though how that's gonna get to that point, because Prabhupada's setting the bar for the gold standard. It's like, how are we gonna get to there, I believe it'll happen.
I mean, just hearing Prabhupada's vision of this is it can still be done. We can literally counteract all the effects of Kali Yuga. All we have to do is this, this, and this.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing to even imagine.
Yeah, exactly. How it's inconceivable. How simple and straightforward it is, but what's the... Anyway, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Anything from our hearers on Zoom? Just soaking it in. Well, yeah, we still have some time. Chapter 18. Is this the last chapter?
One more, chapter 18.
Mars Parikshit cursed by a Brahmin boy. Text 1. Sutta vacha yavaidranyastra viplushto namaturudare mrtaha anugrahat bhagavata krishnasya bhuta karmanaha. Sri Sutta Goswami said, due to the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Maharaj Parikshit, though struck by the weapon of the son of Drona in his mother's womb, could not be burned. Purport. The sages of Naimisharanya struck with wonder after hearing about the wonderful administration of Maharaj Parikshit, especially in reference to his punishing the personality of Kali and making him completely unable to do any harm within the kingdom. Sutta Goswami was equally anxious to describe Maharaj Parikshit's wonderful birth and death, and this verse is stated by Sutta Goswami to increase the interest of the sages of Naimisharanya. Ramako patita yastu takshakat prana viplavat nasamo mohuro ayad bhagavat yarpita shayaha. Definitely butchered that. I did. Furthermore, Maharaj Parikshit was always consciously surrendered to the personality of Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear due to a snake bird which was to bite him because of the fury of a Brahmin boy. Purport. A self-surrendered devotee of the Lord is called Narayana Parayana. Such a person is never afraid of any place or person, not even of death. For him, nothing is as important as the Supreme Lord, and thus he gives equal importance to heaven and hell. He knows well that both heaven and hell are creations of the Lord, and similarly life and death are different conditions of existence created by the Lord. But in all conditions and in all circumstances, remembrance of Narayan is essential. The Narayan Parayana practices this constantly. Maharaj Parikshit was such a pure devotee. He was wrongfully cursed by an inexperienced son of a Brahmin who was under the influence of Kali, and Maharaj Parikshit took this to be sent by Narayan. He knew that Narayan, Lord Krishna, had saved him when he was burned in the womb of his mother, and if he were to be killed by a snake bite, it would also take place by the will of the Lord. The devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was neither afraid of nor bewildered by such things. That is the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. Uchidya sarvata sangam vidyata jita samstitihi vaya sakir jaho shishyo gangayam swam kalevaram. Furthermore, after leaving all his associates, the king surrendered himself as a disciple to the son of Vyas, Shukadeva Goswami, and thus he was able to understand the actual position of the personality of Godhead. Hi, Bal, welcome to Sheila. Hare Krishna. Thank you for tuning in. Alright, Bal. We're hearing Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 18, Text 3, 118.3, if you want to follow. Just now starting the purport. The word Ajita is significant here. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is known as Ajita, or unconquerable, and he is so in every respect. No one can know his actual position. He is unconquerable by knowledge also. We have heard about his dham, or place, eternal, Goloka Vrindavan, but there are many scholars who interpret this abode in different ways. But by the grace of a spiritual master like Shukadeva Goswami, unto whom the king gave himself up as a most humble disciple, one is able to understand the actual position of the Lord, his eternal abode, and his transcendental paraphernalia in that dham, or abode. Knowing the transcendental position of the Lord and the transcendental method by which one can approach that transcendental dham, the king was confident about his ultimate destination, and by knowing this, he could leave aside everything material, even his own body, without any difficulty of attachment. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Param Jasva Nivartate. One can give up all connection with material attachment when one is able to see the Param, or the superior quality of things. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand the quality of the Lord's energy that is superior to the material quality of energy. And by the grace of a bona fide spiritual master like Shukadeva Goswami, it is quite possible to know everything of the superior energy of the Lord, and by which the Lord manifests his eternal name, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. Unless one thoroughly understands this superior or eternal energy of the Lord, It is not possible to leave the material energy. However, one may theoretically speculate on the true nature of the absolute truth. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit was able to receive the mercy of such a personality as Shukadeva Goswami, and thus he was able to know the actual position of the unconquerable Lord. It is very difficult to find the Lord from the Vedic literatures, but it is very easy to know him by the mercy of a liberated devotee like Shukadeva Goswami. Nottama shloka vartanam dushatam tat katamritam syatsam brahmanta kalepi smaratam tat parambujam. This was so because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. That's right. Purport: the highest perfection of life is attained by remembering the transcendental nature of the Lord at the last moment of one's life. This perfection of life is made possible by one who has learned the actual transcendental nature of the Lord from the Vedic hymns sung by a liberated soul like Shukadeva Goswami, or someone in that line of disciplic succession. There is no gain in hearing the Vedic hymns from some mental speculator. When the same is heard from an actual self-realized soul and is properly understood by service and submission, everything becomes transparently clear. Thus, a submissive disciple is able to live transcendently and continue to the end of life. By scientific adaptation, one is able to remember the Lord even at the end of life, when the power of remembrance is slackened due to derangement of bodily membranes. For a common man, it is very difficult to remember things as they are at the time of death. But by the grace of the Lord and his bona fide devotees, the spiritual masters, one can get this opportunity without difficulty. And it was done in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. Tavat kalerna prabhavet pravishtopi hasarvataha yavarisho mahadurvyam abhimanyava ikarat. As long as the great powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish. Purport: as we have already explained, the personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of this earth long ago, and he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence all over the world. But he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is the way of good government. The disturbing elements, like the personality of Kali, will always try to extend their nefarious activities. But it is the duty of the able state to check them by all means. Although Maharaj Parikshit allotted places for the personality of Kali, at the same time he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali. Yasminahani yaryeva bhagavan usasarjagam tadaivehanu vrito savadharma prabhava Kali. The very day and moment the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of irreligious activities, came into this world. Purport: the personality of Godhead and his holy name, qualities, and so on are all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, and so on of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. That is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. In modernized human society, there are great advancements of material science, and they have invented the radio to distribute sound in the air. So instead of vibrating some nuisance sound for sense enjoyment, if the state arranges to distribute transcendental sound by resounding the holy name, fame, and activities of the Lord, as they are authorized in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, then a favorable condition will be created. the principles of religion in the world will be re-established, and thus the executive heads who are so anxious to drive away corruption from the world will be successful. Nothing is bad if properly used for the service of the Lord. Well, the whole conversation about, the legs of religion, all that, I mean, this one purport, he's saying if they just arranged to distribute transcendental sound by resounding the holy name, fame, and activities of the Lord, then actually the whole job would be done. Can you imagine Hare Krishna on every station?
Yeah.
You got fired up Festival Kirtan station. You got what's the name of that Maharaj? The Maharaj in L.A. Amala Bhakta Swami. You got one channel for his recitations. One channel is just like prasadam recipes or something. Hare Krishna. Now I'm really dreaming. Okay, let's see here. Time is running. Text 7. Nanidvesti kalim samra saranga iva sarabhuk kushalaya sudsidyanti netarani kritani yad. Maharaj Parikshit was a realist, like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower. He knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. Purport. The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Maharaj Parikshit, being the most learned and experienced king by the grace of the Lord, was not unnecessarily envious of the personality of Kali, because he did not intend to give him any chance to perform any sinful act. He protected his subjects from falling prey to the sinful acts of the age of Kali. And at the same time, he gave full facility to the age of Kali by allotting him some particular places. At the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there is a great advantage in the age of Kali. One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus, Maharaj Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantages of the age of Kali. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. These are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali, and Maharaj Parikshit took all the advantages and did not think any ill of the age of Kali, true to his Vaishnavite cult. Kim nu baleshu shorena kalinadira biruna apramata pramateshu yavrika nrishu vartate. Maharaj Parikshit considered that less intelligent men might find the personality of Kali to be very powerful, but that those who are self-controlled would have nothing to fear. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care for the foolish, careless persons. Purport. Those who are not devotees of the Lord are careless and unintelligent. Unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot be a devotee of the Lord. Those who are not devotees of the Lord fall prey to the actions of Kali. It will not be possible to bring about a saner condition in society unless we are prepared to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaj Parikshit, that is, propagation of the devotional service of the Lord to the common man. Upavaranitam etadva punyam parikshitam maya vasudeva kitopetam akyanam yada prishuta. O sages, as you did ask me, now I have described almost everything regarding the narrations about Lord Krishna in connection with the history of the pious Maharaj Parikshit. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the history of the activities of the Lord, and the activities of the Lord are performed in relation with the devotees of the Lord. Therefore, the history of the devotees is not different from the history of Lord Krishna's activities. A devotee of the Lord regards both the activities of the Lord and those of his pure devotees on an equal level, for they are all transcendental. Yaya Kita Bhagavata Katanyi Yoru Karmana Gunakarma Shraya Pumbi Sangsevyasta Babushubi. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead, who acts wonderfully. Purport. The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities, and names of Lord Sri Krishna pushes one towards eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowing him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Such transcendental, glorified activities of Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are considered to be material awards for the conditioned living being. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. Them are material awards for you. Rishaya uchu sutta jiva samasamya shasvatir vishadam yasha yastvam sangsasi krishnasya martyanam amritam hinaha. The good sages said, O grave Sutta Goswami, may you live many years and have eternal fame, for you are speaking very nicely about the activities of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. This is just like nectar for mortal beings like us. Purport. When we hear about the transcendental qualities and activities of the personality of Godhead, we may always remember what has been spoken by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 4:9. His acts, even when he acts in human society, are all transcendental, for they are all accentuated by the spiritual energy of the Lord, which is distinguished from his material energy. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, such acts are called divyam. This means that he does not act or take his birth like an ordinary living being under the custody of material energy. Nor is his body material or changeable like that of ordinary living beings. And one who understands this fact, either from the Lord or from authorized sources, is not reborn after leaving the present material body. Such an enlightened soul is admitted into the spiritual realm of the Lord and engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, the more we hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord as they are stated in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we can know about his transcendental nature and thus make definite progress on the path back to Godhead. Yeah, the more we hear. Can never hear too much. But what about jobs and responsibilities? Can you?
Can you
Hear too much?
I guess there's a difference between neglecting your duties and keeping the transcendental vibration going.
They're not mutually.
You can always chant.
Yeah.
But it's also bona fide to excuse duties sometimes, according to Srimad Goswami. Not according to, but based on his Leela. He skipped his work just to go hear Bhagavatam.
I've heard historical events of pure devotees in New Vrindavan sneaking away.
Yeah.
Brahmacharis, I don't know if they're sannyasis at the time, but there was some area like above the like woman's ashram, like in its whole separate area, and they would go up there and hide for like days and read Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
And nobody could find them.
Right, and that devotee, Varshana Maharaj, did so much service also. It wasn't like he didn't do service, you know? He was just
Yeah,
doing the needful.
right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's inspirational. I hear that the devotees used to break into the walk-in cooler to steal the sweets and stuff, and somehow they would go up into the ceiling and then descend, and then they would get into the cooler that way. I don't know if that space is still there, but that might be a space to investigate for secret Chaitanya Charitamrita readings nowadays.
Underground CC reading circles.
Alright, Krishna. Well, we're going to end the reading section there. It is time to stop. I have been deputized to sing at 6 p.m. for the first Friday Kirtan. I think. I don't know. There's so much going on. I mean,
Yeah, should be a nice program.
yeah. I think all the Krishna House people,
ladies and gents,
are gonna be there. So we'll see. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. We can have any discussion if anybody wants to share before we completely end the session. Anybody online want to share anything? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This
Hare
is
Krishna.
Sheila here.
Haribol, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Just a small request, like if we could note the verse of the scripture that you're going to discuss upfront, so we may be ready with questions.
Okay. Yeah, we're actually reading systematically. So there
Okay.
is no focus on just one verse, but I can start. I usually put the verse we start from, and then we just hear. So
Okay.
we read like usually 10 to 20 verses in a session usually. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much.
But I can, yeah, that's a good. I'll try to start making that more clear.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming, tuning in.
Thank you for hosting the session. We could get a chance. I could get a chance to log in and hear. So it kind of brings to mind again our goal and reinforces that yes, this is the goal of chanting, reading books, associating with devotees. So that's
Absolutely.
so important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And Nakunja Nagari says, just relishing. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Jai.
Thank you for coming and relishing. Your relishing helps us relish more. Just to hear the devotees are relishing makes me relish. Hare Krishna. Yep, so, well, Krishna willing, we should be at our regular time of 5:30 tomorrow. I don't know where I'll be. Hare Krishna. But the readings will go on, so thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. And I guess now's an appropriate time to adjourn this meeting. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Alright, so thank you all again, and I hope everyone has a great evening. And now I'm going to rush up to the palace to try to see if my services are still desired there. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, dear devotees.
Thank you.